everybody, welcome back to the Fumble Live. We have a lot of news to get into today. As usual, we're talking about Ezekiel Elliott and the lawsuit that he might be involved in. We're talking about how the NBA is promoting Black Lives Matter. All that is coming up, but first, make sure you subscribe, tap the bell, give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and leave a comment below. Now, here is your Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward. Chris?
It's your boy Chris. You can find me everywhere at CK2K.
Hey everybody, I'm Jackie Ray. You can find me everywhere at JRay the Fanatic.
Hey guys, it's your girl Britt Johnson. You can follow me on all social media at I am Britt Johnson.
Chris, I feel like you're making such a good effort to no longer be surprised.
I'm trying way too hard. I'm trying way too hard because I didn't realize it. The thing is, I am looking at you. That's the problem. My screen is here, and I'm looking at all three of you guys. If I'm looking here, I don't see nobody. I'm just looking at a wall.
We need to kind of disobey the quarantine and come to your house, and set you up because I'm like, you be looking at like all mad, like sometimes you because it looks like you're looking at me, and I'm like, what? What did I say? What did I say? See, there it is.
That's funny. That's hilarious.
I also want to add that today I feel like we are all, somewhat evenly placed in terms of height. We don't have that's super short. Yeah, we're looking pretty good today, you guys.
Nice.
I feel proud of us.
Today is Mike Tyson's birthday, so we need some voice, Chris. We need a Mike Tyson impression from you.
How old is he now? 50. You did Mike Tyson? 54. I'm scared to do Mike Tyson, man. That's scary. I don't know if he's going to get the clip, but I don't want to get beat up. I don't care if he's 54, 85. I don't care how he will still whoop my ass. Like, I'm scared.
Right.
Yeah, he will.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Happy birthday, Mike Tyson. There it is.
Thanks.
We need an entire live show that's just filled with impersonations. We'll have Britt doing the Kawhi laugh. We'll have Chris doing Mike Tyson. Jackie, I have yet to figure out what impression you're very good at, and I don't have an impression I'm very good at, so we'll have to work on that a little.
Yes. You'll sing us in, Devin.
My singing, is that what you said?
Yeah, you'll sing us in. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So like I'll do Mariah Carey or something because obviously I'm a stretch Mariah Carey with these vocals. Okay, let's jump in.
Can we acknowledge all these trolls in the comments really quick? What is this?
I was trying not to. I was trying real hard. You see me now I look like Chris. Now I'm side eye in the chat like what the hell is going on in this damn chat?
We all need to be on timeout duty, you guys, because there's too many for just one of us to take care of.
Right, seriously.
I timed out one of them. Over it. Okay, you guys, let's go into the first Need to Know news story. I am the blurry one today, which means maybe I'm going to have a conspiracy theory to tell you all. Let's talk about Ezekiel Elliott. So during a live stream, he said that he was low-key faded, and we're going to roll that clip here for you really quickly. So Leo, can you put that up there for us?
Oh, bro, I'm low-key faded, bro. Oh, no, I didn't even end my stream yet.
Obviously, we're not to log off before talking about how faded he was. And apparently the term faded is up for debate because most of his viewers assume that he meant he was really, really stoned, but he insists that he was just a little bit drunk, feeling a little buzzed. So Sports Illustrated took that faded comment and they ran with it. They published an article that was titled, "Ezekiel Elliott Forgets to Log Off, Admits to Being High on Twitch." It was an opinion piece, and it just really set Ezekiel off. In one part of the article, it said, quote, "After wearing a mask and social distancing, the most important thing in life to remember is to always make sure you are logged off before you start riffing." So Zeke ended up posting a slew of tweets directed towards Sports Illustrated. He wrote, "Actually, I was referring to the few drinks I had, which I said during the live stream. Doesn't that make this defamation? You guys will be hearing from my lawyers." He also dragged the sports website, writing, quote, "I expect that from a little gossip site, but Sports Illustrated, really?" So Sports Illustrated quickly removed the article, and then they re-uploaded it, apologizing for their error. They said they regretted the decision to say that he was high. So obviously it has not been an easy off season for Zeke. He received a ton of backlash for partying in April. He's being sued for $200,000 after his dogs allegedly attacked a woman. He received a positive COVID test result. So for me, I feel like he's probably just at the end of his rope here and just really like frustrated with the negative headlines. But Chris, I'm going to go to you. Do you feel Sports Illustrated deserved the dragging for interpreting his low-key faded comment to mean he was high?
Yes, of course. Even if he did mean like the fact that they jumped on something like that because they're trying to get at. I'm not saying like they're trying to specifically get to Zeke, but they're trying to get some kind of story out of Zeke because, like you just mentioned, Zeke had a lot of things that were going on in this offseason regardless. So add that on to the list because it's just a clickable thing because it's Ezekiel Elliott, and it's stupid. I hate it so much, and I'm glad he went after him, and he has been going after everybody that's been trying to go at his name this entire offseason. So I'm all here for it. I actually, ever since the post up where he was wearing his helmet while he was playing Call of Duty, I made it a thing to make sure I check out his stream, and he's hilarious. He's just being himself. So for them to try and jump on this to try to get those clicks and then Zeke going after him, I'm here for it. So yes, he should have.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you. I think that article that Sports Illustrated wrote was kind of silly. I mean, just to make a headline out of someone being high, it's legal in a lot of states, so it's not even a big deal. Britt, do you understand why Zeke was so mad, or do you think that he's just like at the end of his rope with the negative press?
Well, yeah, I understand why he's mad. It doesn't matter if it's legal in states, it's not legal in the NFL, so he could get in trouble for that. So that's like a big issue if they are putting something on him that is technically not illegal to do in his job, and then I'd say faded, and I don't smoke weed at all. So to me, I always thought faded was just like, you just, you little faded, I didn't know that it was directed towards marijuana use. And obviously he just got done, testing positive for COVID. You really think with his lungs and everything probably all messed up and
right.
Whatever else is going on, he's really going to go be smoking weed right now? I don't think so. I don't know. He probably just had a couple glasses of wine or whatever he drinks. But I think it was like very irresponsible. Like, yes, it is in an opinion piece. I know that writer his work very well. He does do a lot of really great stuff. He actually a couple weeks ago said, why don't we just cancel the Star Spangled Banner from the NFL period? Why do we have to do that? So he does do a lot of good pieces and stuff. So I was surprised to see that he was the one that did the piece on this because I feel like he knows better than that. I understand why Zeke was pissed off. I would be too, because that's coming at his character and it could come for his job. And he's already had issues in the past and stuff like that. And he's had to battle different things in the past. So this is just another one. So I understand completely why he acted the way he did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually wanted to ask you guys just out of my own personal curiosity. So, Britt, I know you said that you don't necessarily interpret the term faded to mean high, but Jackie and Chris, what has your interpretation of that term been?
Never in life have I heard faded used for being high. When I hear people say, I'm high, they say, damn, I'm high. When we drink, we say we faded. I have never heard anybody get high and say, damn, I'm faded. It doesn't mean the same thing. So maybe clearly he doesn't do either, which good for him. But yeah, learn the terminology if you're going to write an opinion piece on the wrong opinion.
Right.
Well, I've heard him for both. But like he said in the stream too, again, just more context, like he was drinking throughout the stream. Not like he was drinking a lot, but he was drinking through the stream. So I don't know why they would just jump to the conclusion that he did mean faded, meaning like he was high. I've heard him for both. But he was drinking in the stream and he was just like talking about like, man, I'm a little faded about after the stream. So trash. It's all trash, man. Context is always being missed. So I hate it. But yeah, I've heard it for both.
This is a plague of not having.
Come from my running back, okay?
Right. And he was so cute when he said it too. It's like if you were gonna write, and I get it. There's no sports right now, right? So you have to write something. But he was so cute. He's like, yo, I'm like, it didn't have to go into this whole thing that could potentially be a jab at his job, you know what I mean? Like he could have played it totally different.
He could have said the same thing saying he was drunk. Like, oh, he was so drunk on his thing, he forgot to log out or something. Like you could have had the same title.
Still got the clip.
You don't have to put weed in there.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
Do
since
better.
that term is it's so openly, like, people just have different opinions. I remember in high school, people would say that when they were going, like, to sneak off and get high in between classes. But then in college, people were referring to that term as being drunk. So I know my own understanding of the term faded is, like, very up in the air. So it was silly. It was irresponsible, Britt. That's exactly the right word for it, like you said before. Now let's move on into this next story. So Trae Young just signed with Clutch Sports, and people think it's a sign. The fact that Clutch Sports' biggest clients are LeBron and AD. Some feel like it's a clue that he's going to be a Laker eventually. But Trae's dad has actually spoken out about the rumors, and he said that people would need to take a look at Trae's history to realize that signing with Clutch is anything but an indication of an impending move from the Hawks to the Lakers. He said, quote, "I wish people would look at his history. He has never been a follower." He then gave some examples of times when Trae marched to the beat of his own drum, including some examples from when he was just a little kid or a teenager playing basketball. And he added, quote, "This whole thing with Clutch never had anything to do with going to play with the Lakers one day. They have a lot of people on their roster who aren't with the Lakers." And it's true, there are athletes that have signed with Clutch Sports that are not Lakers, so it's not necessarily an indication that he's going to be moving to LA. His dad also talked about his son's commitment to Atlanta and said, quote, "He knows this is a team effort, but I've told you this before. My son is 6'1". He thinks he's the best player on the court, no matter if LeBron is on the floor with him. Hopefully it never backfires on him, but he's got big balls and is very confident. He just knows what he wants to accomplish. I never think my son is going to join a super team unless they all come to Atlanta. He's just got too much pride to do that." So Trae will be up for a long-term extension after next season, so we'll see what happens. Jackie, do you think Trae signing with Clutch is a sign that he'll join the Lakers despite what his dad was saying? And do you think he would be a good fit there if that did end up happening?
So initially, no, I did not think that Trae signing with Clutch was an indication that he would be coming to LA. However, given this isn't a conjecture. This is an old saying that my dad used to say all the time. He says, "Methinks you protest too much," and that was his way of saying when you talking too much, it's because you're trying to hide. His dad went on this long rant for what? You talking about ball sizes and stuff too? I don't know. I feel like maybe he's trying to cover up something, and maybe he is. But no, I ultimately, if I take away what his dad is saying and I think of who Trae Young is a person, I think that then he's right. His son will stay. I don't think, would he be a good fit in LA? I think my initial answer is no. I think that we're on the right track. I love Trae Young. I think Trae would be a great fit anywhere. Don't get me wrong, but I just like what we have going on. I think we've struggled to get a certain level of chemistry, and I'm just not, ultimately, I think Trae is going to be a beast wherever he goes, and I wouldn't be mad to see him here. I just don't know if I want to see him here right now. I want to ride this train that we're on right now and see where it goes before I start saying Trae Young needs to come to LA.
Jackie just wants LeBron to stay at point.
That's what it is. That's 100% what it is.
If I'm being honest, LeBron at point is my least favorite position for him. Like, his handles aren't what I would want him to have. LeBron at point is not where I would want him. He can literally play wherever else. LeBron at point is like the low point for me. So no, that's not it. It's literally, I know how it is with the chemistry, and I saw the chemistry be an issue in Cleveland, and it was an issue here. I feel like we're on our way to being a well gelling team, and I'm nervous for that to kind of go away. No matter, not that I think Trae would be bad, y'all. Don't think that I'm saying that. I'm just wanting to ride this train we're on. No, they on Trump. Okay, they need to get their life in the comment, not me. Y'all need to get your life in these comments right now.
Chris, I feel like you have something you want to say, so just get it off your chest right now.
Oh no, I was just baffled by a lot of what Jackie just said. I when you said that you didn't think they would be good with the Lakers, but I'm not going to sit here and try to talk Trae Young into going for the Lakers. I don't want that. But the reason why I was reacting is it's just so funny. You hear his dad talk, and it sounds a lot like a certain dad that has about to have two sons in the league right now. I've said this time and time again. time and time again, you give a microphone to any of these kids' dads, they're all going to sound like LeVar Ball. And I've said this time and time again, and this is an example. Brett has even talked about all of them. Brett has talked about Kevin Knox of the New York Knicks. If you gave his dad, if Kevin Knox was a little bit better, a lot faster, and you gave him a mic in New York, LeVar Ball, this is just such a common thing. So just hearing him talk, I was just there smiling like, this is so funny. And no one's gonna say anything about that because he's not LeVar Ball, but it's the same thing. But and the initial thing with the whole Clutch Sports, I just feel like we need to just give Clutch their respect. Like, they're bringing in these athletes at this point. We can't keep tying it to, now they're signed with Clutch, so now they're definitely gonna go play with LeBron James. We gotta stop doing that. We just got to give them the respect that they're earning over there. Like, they're getting big name talent to go there. I think Anthony Davis is probably the only. I mean, Contavious Caldwell-Pope, but he's not a big name. But like, other than that, Ben Simmons isn't gone to the Lakers yet. I don't think he's going to go to the Lakers. Draymond Green, there's a maybe actually for Draymond Green. There's all these other guys. So I feel like we just got to give them their respect, and they're out there, building a company over there. So now I'm tired of this. I don't like this conspiracy. I'm not going to bring out the tin hat.
Yeah, but do you think he would be a good fit, though, Chris? Do you think he would be
100%,
right now?
100%, and I don't want it because I don't want him on the Lakers because he is a ball moving scorer. Like, I feel like that is the perfect kind of thing with LeBron James. I mean, I know you were critical on Lonzo, even though he didn't play much. I feel like Lonzo and LeBron were good, but Trae Young and LeBron would be way better because Trae can score right now on top of him having like the kind of vision that LeBron and Lonzo have. I feel like it would have been good, but I'm not going to sit here and try to talk about the Lakers doing it. Lakers just signed J.R. Smith, and I'm happy about that, so I'm not trying to get them Trae Young.
Okay, Brent, I feel like you had something that you wanted to add now. So what's on your mind about all of this?
No, I mean, I don't have anything of substance to add other than what they both just said. But let's put into perspective, Trae Young is barely like in his second year or whatever. Like, he has one more year with Atlanta before he ends up becoming or he'll actually be a restricted free agent the first year and then following that. But I mean, most guys I know played for like 6 or 7 different teams. So who's to say one day he won't play for the Lakers? I'm not going to say he's going to stay with Atlanta forever. He's 21 years old, but I don't think that signing that is like, now we're going to bring everybody to the Lakers. I don't believe that's the case at all, because in a couple of years, I don't think LeBron's going to be with the Lakers. I think LeBron will be wherever Bronny is. So
I do too.
That's true.
Don't you kind of think LA is the place that people just kind of want to be, though, just in general? I'm not saying it has to be,
now,
the Lakers. Brady.
Again, now.
Well,
but now.
I think the Lakers are going to be too good when Bronny gets drafted that he's not going to end up going to the Lakers.
Right. Right. For sure.
All right, guys, let's move on because we're running out of time here. So the NBA is actually going to paint Black Lives Matter on the sidelines of all 3 courts at Walt Disney World. This is the latest move that the league has made in order to help support and promote racial and social justice, and it comes just after we talked about how they're allowing their players to add a social justice message onto their jerseys. Britt, I'm asking you first, is this a good move, or do you feel that it's too performative?
No, I think it's a good move. Anything that's moving things forward is a good move. I'm not going to sit here and say it's not good enough. It's not do more. Everything the players have asked them to do so far, they've actually done. So the players did not even have a game plan going into this, and they've literally just been, hey, let's do this and kind of just slowly adding stuff, and that's what the league has followed suit with. If the players would have came with a whole game plan like we said they should have, I'm sure all this stuff would have been done at the same time, and we would have just been moving forward, but it's being done little by little because the players didn't have a game plan going into this. But I think it's a good move. I like it.
Okay.
WNBA is also going to be doing the same thing.
Yeah, I read that as well. I think it's awesome that they're wanting to promote Black Lives Matter. But Chris, what else would you like to see the NBA do to continue to shed light and support this movement?
Man, I really love the ideas Lou Williams came up with when we were talking about it on Post Up last week. I loved a lot of the stuff that he was saying. I love that because there are already some commercials that are out there that are, talking about it, and especially because it's just something, whatever it takes to keep it in everyone's face is pretty much what I would like to add. I'm not against any of it. I don't think any thing is a bad idea at this point, as long as it's keeping it in the forefront and keeping it in people's minds, like putting it on the court like that, putting messages on their jerseys, even if they do that and a patch. Like, there are obviously, I'm sure players are going to write them on their shoes. Like Lou Williams, like I said, he was talking about like the commercials. Britt even talked about like a podcast like between games and stuff like that. I think there's no bad idea as long as it's keeping it in people's head. So when the basketball is done, you still know that this is still serious and this is still something going on. So I don't really have a specific idea. I just feel like I'm with all these ideas, and I hope that this isn't the end and there's still going to be more to be added.
Yeah, me too. And actually, Jackie, that leads me to my next question. Do you feel that these kinds of like statements are getting a little bit old? Like, do you think the NBA should be focusing less on messages and more on action, or are you supportive of everything and hopeful that they'll add more action to it?
I mean, I think the NBA has been moving the needle as far as action, and in the same token, I think keeping the message in the forefront. I mean, I'm looking at the chat right now, and people are saying, "Oh, I'm done with the NBA because keep politics out of it." Black Lives Matter is a political organization, and the level of ignorance is just really high. And so I think that in order to combat that level of ignorance, you do have to keep the message in the forefront. So I love the whole, painting Black Lives Matter on the court. And I love what Lou Williams said as well. I would love the commercials, because clearly just from our chat alone, we know there's a lot of ignorance that we still need to combat. And I think making sure that message is on the forefront is keeping it visual and keeping it in the front so we can address these types of things. So, and like I said, I think the NBA is already pushing forward with action. So I love this all around, hit them on all fronts kind of thing that we're doing right now.
Yeah, and to all of the people who are like sending us dumb messages in the chat, I think you need to read the room. And if you want to ditch the NBA, no one's going to miss you. So bye, everybody. Anyway, that wraps up Need to Know News.
Or not, because I got time, y'all. I always got time. So just whatever.
Once you start responding to everybody in the chat, we'll be going at it with you guys. If you're going to be dumb and ignorant in the chat. Anyway, Chris, we need to take it away.
Show.
Right. Yes. Right. But guys, it's time for Post Up
After Dark.
After Dark. No, but first it's time for Post Up with your boy Chris, Quarantine Edition. Yes, that's right. I'm sure Jackie is loaded, and I'm not talking about weed. Sports Illustrated. I meant she was loaded with comebacks. Okay, Sports Illustrated. So don't take that clip.
That's right.
Anyway, we were starting off with some cool news. We talked about the TikTok last week with Anthony Davis on NBA 2K pointing at 3 dates. Today is the first of those 3 dates, and the reveal today was the first cover athlete for one of the 3 different versions of NBA 2K, and it is Brit's boy, Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard will be the cover athlete for the current gen. For those who don't understand, that's like PlayStation 4, Xbox One. That's the consoles that are out right now, and he's going to be the cover athlete for 2K on that, and that's huge. I love it. It came completely left field. He dropped a dope commercial. We can't play here because copyright, but you guys got to go check out the commercial. It's really funny. And yeah, so I'm happy about that, and he's very happy about it too. He was talking with Shams in this video, and he expressed his excitement if we can get that video.
That's what's up. Like, I made it.
This one.
I'll be on the cover. I'll be on the cover of 2K.
It doesn't get any better.
I just wish Shams, like my man, like you give him some more energy though. Like you see, like he was like they having a little kid moment, like doesn't get any better than Shams. Like, yeah, I'm sure couldn't get any better than this. Shams, come on, man, give him some love on that. But yeah, I love it. I'm a fan of this. This one was the one I really wanted to know who was going to be the cover of the current gen. I had no idea, and I think Dame would be perfect. And hopefully he is on the game, and the game is actually good, and it won't be one of those things where it's tied to him if the game's bad. But speaking of tying games to him, there's a bit of a 2K curse. I don't really think it's a 2K curse. I just want to briefly talk about it. It's not like the man curse where cover athletes get hurt and blah blah blah. But in recent years, 2K athletes who are on the cover, like Anthony Davis, who was on the cover this year, they had to change the whole cover because initially he was on the Pelicans, but then he got traded. We have Kyrie Irving, who was on the Celtics, but then he went to the Brooklyn Nets, and Kevin Durant at one point, and Rada. So I'm going to go to you real quick, Britt, before we move on to the next thing. I think I know the answer, but I want you to express it anyway. Do you feel like him being on the cover means that he will be out of Portland because of the 2K cover curse? I say loosely.
Hell to the nah. Like, he signed that extra 5-year extension that doesn't even start till next year. So he is actually supposed to be with Portland until 2025. At that point, he'll be 35 years old. I think we'll see the best of his career at that time. The only way this happens is if Portland decides to be complete idiots and trade him. But he's wanting to stay there. So and I don't think Portland doesn't really make dumb moves. They usually like status quo. They'd be chilling usually. Usually some people kind of want them to do a bit more than they're doing, but like they don't make dumb moves. And I don't think that they're that dumb to get rid of Dame. So I think he's going to stay there, and he'll be there until he's at least 35 years old.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this curse. That's why I don't even call it a curse, because there's been like 3, and it's just anomalies. I don't know. I'm not a fan of it, but yeah, I don't think this. I think Dame is gonna be there, and he's not gonna go anywhere. So, miss me with that one, Twitterverse. I'm not buying in on that curse. I like a good conspiracy, but that's not the one. Yes, Miss Britt too. And on to the next one. I know somebody wants to leave. This person we're gonna talk about. I know somebody in the chat wish they would leave, but it looks like with their tweet, he ain't going nowhere, because LA Dodgers pitcher Alex Wood made a prediction after the news came out that Cam Newton would be signing with the New England Patriots. And Alex Wood is predicting that OBJ is going to be right behind him, and he's going to finagle a move to go to the Patriots. Now, this ain't new news, because a lot of rumors were pointing around that for years and years, even back when he was on the Giants. But OBJ is shooting that dream down, because he seems like he's very content where he is. Jackie, he tweeted this out saying, you can find me in the land, homie. We got unfinished business. Can we get Jackie on the screen? I know you're going to find a way to say that this is just BS and he's just saying it. Had to. Are you buying the fact that he really wants to stay in the land?
It's a front, right? Because he gets all that flack for being a diva and being outspoken or whatever, and so now he's trying to seem like he's the good teammate. He's the one that you want to have on the team. He's committed, and then he's calling his agent and be like, "Hey, so what's going on with that Patriots deal? You gonna make that happen?" Nobody wants to be in purgatory. Nobody. This is a front. It's not true. I appreciate it, because I love the cover of Beauty to hide that we getting dirty, and behind the scenes we trying to get out. Do your thing, Odell.
My gosh. I'm not co-signing with this one. Look, and maybe this is just my Nick syndrome, hoping that one of these teams that have been bad for so long gets out of being purgatory. So I'm hoping that they keep their stars and they end up being good. But without Odell
deserves.
I knew it. See?
Odell deserves better. He deserves better. That's all I got to say about that.
Haterade from Jackie Rick. On to the next one. On to the next one. We're moving over to somebody. It's actually sticking to Cam Newton. Cam Newton, probably like a day after the news came out, he put out some content on YouTube talking about how hyped he was, talking about the process and stuff like that. He actually was talking about back when the team first was cut him, and he was like squashing all the rumors, saying that like, yo, look, it was I wanted to be here. It was a decision by them. Don't believe the hype and blah, 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 blah. Well, then the news came out that he's going to be a Patriot. He's happy about that. He's excited about that. But apparently they were the only team that really had some real interest in him, which to me, you're going to fight on Weekend Zone pisses me off, and I feel like that's the stupidest thing to hear. Like, I'm not a crazy Cam Newton fan, but I do love the brother, and I hope that I think he will have a good season with the Patriots. But to find out that only one team was really interested in him, like actually had serious interest, which was the Patriots, and now he's going to go start. We'll see how that goes. But somebody who was in a similar situation as him, Isaiah Thomas he's of the free agents right now, but he had a similar situation with the team in the same city back when he was a Sacramento King, and he was hopping all over. Not many teams gave him interest except for that one team, the Boston Celtics, and then the rest was history. We knew that amazing season he had, but Isaiah Thomas responded to this report saying, it's okay. You only need one team to love you, and that's facts, because he went through the exact same thing. People were counting him out. Can't play defense, too little, not this, not that, and then came to the Celtics, turned into an all-star, and who knows what would have happened if he never was traded away for Kyrie Irving. So, yeah, I think that's a good comparison. And I think we're all in agreement that, regardless of the money, regardless of, the bad deal and stuff like that, if Cam Newton actually gets the opportunity to start, which he most likely will, he's going to do wonders with this. And I think his next contract is going to be nice, whether he decides to stay or decides to go to one of these other 31 teams that were stupid enough to not show him any interest. Well, maybe not 31 teams. Not all 31 teams need quarterbacks, but the damn majority of them needed a quarterback. So to find that out is bonkers to me. Mike Tomlin. Anyways, moving on to this next one coming from Ian Desmond, who is a player for the Rockies. He made the decision that he's not going to be playing baseball with this upcoming in this upcoming season, and he dropped a very long message. It was like, I want to say like probably 6-7 pages on IG, and to be honest, reading through it, I have no objections with it. He went all the way from talking about the experiences with George Floyd to starting baseball in Sarasota, and being one of the only like biracial / black kids playing there, and he had the opportunity to play where he played Little League. He also talked about the lack of diversity within the sport, which is very well known and it's not a secret. But he's ultimately deciding that he's not going to come back and play this season. At the end of his series of messages, he put this out, and like I said, he was talking about his opportunity playing Little League and falling in love with the sport because of a small Little League youth field that he first learned the sport when he was a little kid. He said this at the end of his message. He said, "The COVID-19 pandemic has made this baseball season one that is a risk I am not comfortable taking. But that doesn't mean I'm leaving baseball behind for the year. I'll be right here at my old Little League, and I'm working with everyone involved to make sure we get Sarasota youth baseball back on track. It's what I can do in the scheme of so much. So I am." So basically, he did talk about that same Little League field that he used to play on has not been touched since 2015. It is in shambles. There's it's not being used, and it hurt him because that was where he started baseball. That's where his journey started. And look at him now; he's a professional baseball player, and that's where his story started. And he feels like that is robbing a lot of other kids that are in similar situations like him in his childhood that might not have the opportunity to play at these other little league little leagues because they're a little bit more pricey and whatnot. So he wants to bring this one back to par, back to snuff, so other kids can get the same opportunity that he did growing up. And I'm a huge fan of that. I do, whether you watch baseball or not, and you never heard of Ian Desmond or not, I do applaud that you guys go and check that out. But I just wanted to quickly ask you, Devin, like hearing that news to, forego playing baseball because we heard the news and, they're going to be back and the amount of games and amount of days and stuff like that, and to choose to not play for the many reasons he listed, but, to have bringing back the field that gave him his love for the sport and how important that is to him. You really feel like, it's honestly like it's a good reason to, miss baseball, especially like you said with COVID-19 and other things going on in his personal life. You think that's a good reason for him to, skip out on the rest of the season or this upcoming season?
I think I respect anybody who's choosing not to play right now. I mean, right. I feel like we're in such a crazy time. It's very chaotic, and there's so much that's still unknown. And, he has that pregnant wife. He has his kids at home. I totally get why he's choosing to stay with his family. So I respect it. Yeah, that's how I can't fault anybody for choosing to take a step back.
And and I know we talk about the response. I feel like we talk more about responses with a lot of, decisions to not play or, decisions to stand for things that they believe in. And we've talked about that a lot more in recent months. And this is another one where I feel like, it was nice to see that a lot of people had their back. And it's crazy to say that because it's like, well, of course. But in today's climate, it's not always that case where you'll have people that are going to be going at him saying, oh, you weak for this and blah, blah, blah. So it's nice to see the sport, especially coming from his peers. So, yeah, shout out to him. And I think that's going to be a good move. I love that story. I'm all for that. So like I said, go check it out if you can. Moving on to another great point, especially with who he talks about in the video. But it's Matt Barnes, and he's talking with Taylor Rooks of Bleacher Report, and he was talking about the the difference of coaching in the NBA or coaching in general. But he was specifically talking about the NBA, whether you are black and whether you're white. And we've talked about this so many times on this channel, whether it be in stand-ups, whether it be in these lives. It is there, and it is not a secret. You know, black coaches, you get a season. If it don't work, you get cut. Other white coaches, you get a few seasons. If it don't work, you get cut, but you're going to get rehired the following year. It's in all sports. It's not even just basketball. I think football is probably more, you see it way more in football because they get less chances in football than with basketball. But Matt Barnes is specifically talking about basketball in the situation. He does mention my old coach, David Fizdale, which I do agree with. He was talking about, you know, how black coaches who get the opportunity, they need to be careful with who they decide to take the opportunities with, because like in the Knicks situation, you can go to a team where you're not filled with talent, knowing that this is a long project. They preached that to him, regardless of if I believe he's a good coach or not. The point was they preached to him that this is going to be a process. We're going to be building through the draft. But the minute that he had a losing season, they cut him and they moved off of him. And same thing happened with Memphis. He went to the playoffs one year, didn't make it to the next year, and then he gets fired. And there's so many other examples, but that's the one that he talked about. I feel like he was preaching some truth in this. If I can, enough about me. Let's hear what Matt Barnes had to say. If we can run that video real quick.
So a white person could be very comfortable being a doctor, lawyer, whatever situation. And if you mess up, you're most likely going to get another chance. And I compare this really in sports and with black head coaches having to really be careful picking their jobs, because most of the time where there's a coaching change, it's because it's a bad team. So a white coach can go in there and be subpar and get fired and get another job. But a black coach, you know, you don't get too many chances. Coach David Fizdale is a good friend of mine, where he won championships in Miami with Braun and D Wade and those guys.
Yeah, and then like I said, then he goes on to say what I'd said, and I've if any of you guys are subscribed to my channel, I've talked about this whole entire thing in so many videos, because although I don't believe, I think I think David Fizdale is a good coach. I just feel like he is a coach that needs to be in the right situation, and the Knicks from the jump wasn't in that situation, even though I was excited about it because I thought that they were actually going to give him the chance they did, and that's my naivete for sure. And yeah, he was another victim of that. He also talks about Mike D'Antoni, who, you know, has a little bit over a 500 record, even though, when his time with the Lakers was a fail, his time with the Knicks was a fail. But the few times with the Rockets and with the Suns, he had good seasons with those. But the point of the matter is, I just named 4 teams for this same coach who's been coaching over the past decade and some change. And we're talking about David Fizdale, who, after being fired, who knows when's the next time he's going to get an opportunity. So I feel like Matt Barnes was speaking a lot of truth in that. We've talked about it all the time. I want to come to you, Jackie. Like we said, coaches, it's crazy that, black coaches have to have that mindset before getting a job, even though, I'm sure, David Fizdale is financially well off, but at the same time, who knows the next time he's going to get a job because of the situation, because people are going to look at his record like, oh, your record's trash. Like, I don't know if we can bring you. I don't think your situation is going to work. So my question to you is, it's a hard question because I don't even know, maybe you have an answer, but how is something like that changed other than, the simple answer of just giving these coaches a chance? Like, how do they fix the situation? Do black coaches need to be more stern with the decisions they make rather than just taking a job because the job is being given to you? Or should they, like I said, or should they actually, be okay turning down options knowing that they might not get a job relatively quickly because they are in fact a black coach? How do you feel about that? Because I don't know if there's an answer for that.
Right. I mean, that's a catch-22, right? Because I think, I've said it on the show time and time again, all of us as black people have heard our parents or somebody told us you have to work twice as hard to get half the credit when you're black. And I think that this is just, exemplifying that. So yes, what I want to tell somebody, hey, this is not the ideal position for you. You're going into a bad situation. And if you can't make this bad situation look good immediately, you're going to feel the brunt of that, and it's going to be all your fault, and they're not going to give you the time to build. So would I want to say that to somebody? Yes. But given the lack of black coaches, would I understand them being like, no, I got to take this job. I have to take this opportunity while I have it. You do have to take those opportunities, and you do have to kind of take one on the chin to kind of pave the way for for the next one and hopefully be able to go in. And I hate that because we do often find ourselves in that situation where we have to represent for the entire culture. And this isn't any different than that, but you do have to get in there and try to do the best that you can, because like you said, you don't know when the next opportunity comes about. And when the next opportunity comes about, it's almost like they toss you some bone that nobody's going to want, you know what I mean? But you have to go in there and make the best of it. So it's a difficult situation to be in. I don't envy it at all, but I do think you have to go in there and try to get it done to the best of your ability. I don't know if you can turn down positions, not only because you don't know when the next one will come, but because if you do turn it down, then the next thing you're going to hear is like, oh, see, well, we tried it, you know, and y'all turning down positions now. So there's like no win in this, to be honest. I said all that to say there's no win.
Yeah, and that's why I asked the question knowing that that is the answer. But yeah, and I think you hit it on the head. And another one, I'm sorry, this subject that I talk about all the time because on my channel, especially when it comes to basketball, and I know football is the same thing. But like Lloyd Pierce is another one that I like. He was a coach that I was hoping the Knicks would hire, and his record's not great. He's coaching the Atlanta Hawks right now. Trae Young, rah. But he is a good coach. He is a very good developmental coach. You're seeing like guys that you've never heard before, like a John Collins, you know, all these kind of other kids that are, or Vince Carter's reason why Vince Carter came back because he liked what was going on over there. But who's to say that, you know, after he just finished year 2, year 3, if he has another losing season, he gets the boot. But then we got guys like Brett Brown, who was over there trusting the process, and he's still coaching that team. And that, to me, in my personal humble opinion, the reason why that Sixers team is never jumping over that next level, even though they're such a good team, in my opinion, is because of the coach. But he keeps getting these chances. So I don't know. I respect Matt Barnes for saying that. That's just my 2 cents on that. I think we could have a whole live on this conversation because, like I said, it's not just basketball, and we'll do it for another time. But to wrap up, post up, I want to go back to Cam Newton real quick because Cam Newton has a nice and quick, simple message for all the idiots that chose to not sign him or even give him the opportunity. He said this in a part of one of the videos I was talking about earlier, and I want to go out of post up with this video.
It's so much on my mind right now. But I'm gonna keep this shit brief. I'm at your neck.
I love this. I love that.
I never liked that Patriots logo so much as I did right there. I love how I didn't even let him finish and the music cut in because it's just like, yo, I don't know. I'm for it. I just wish it was a different team, but I'm here for it. I'm here for the vengeance story of Cam Newton. But that's it for me here on the post up.
And I'm starting to get used to his hair. Can you believe it? The hair didn't even bother me that much in this video. And it always bothers me.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Chris. Now, Jackie, tell us what we're not gonna do.
Got our eyes closed and everything, y'all. She was feeling that one. All right, y'all. So this one is kind of crazy to me because we talk a lot about Hall of Famers. We talk a lot about who should get first ballot, the media being involved in that, and people like T.O. they have to wait a lot longer to get into the Hall of Fame. But apparently, if your plan is to be a head coach in the NFL, maybe that Hall of Fame nod is not exactly what you want because apparently it makes it more difficult. So former NFL defensive back Rod Woodson said, it is more difficult for Hall of Fame players to get assistant coaching jobs because head coaches prefer lower profiles. It's basically like an alpha thing. They don't like a lot of, other people who might get higher praise than them in the room with them. The only Hall of Famer currently in the NFL is the Broncos offensive line coach. He spent 12 years with the Houston Oilers. You guys, you probably don't even remember the Houston Oilers, but yeah, they used to be with the Houston Oilers. Only 7 Hall of Fame players have gone to NFL head coaching jobs. I don't know why that just surprised me. I just assumed kind of if you've got a Hall of Famer, you would kind of want them at least in a coach position, but yeah, there's not that many. Now, Woodson coached with the Bengals, Raiders, and the Broncos for 3 years, but he's been out of the league for 3 years now. So he said, quote, I think having the gold jacket and having the respect walking in the room, sometimes people don't want that in the room. They want one alpha in the room, and I'm not a real alpha where I want somebody's job. I just love talking ball. So Devin, my question is for you. Are you surprised that athletes who have this Hall of Fame under their belt, that they're having a hard time getting coaching jobs?
I mean, I don't want to say that I'm surprised, although part of me is, because I'm with you. I feel like if you have that Hall of Fame accolade, then you would be a good fit, or people would want to bring you in to coach. But also, exactly like you said, the NFL is full of egos, and I think having somebody who's well respected and decorated in that way come in to coach would probably feel threatening. And then also there's that track record to prove his point. So I can definitely see where he's coming from. I don't know. It's surprising, but it's also not.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. You don't want to be the one that somebody is an assistant and then kind of knows a little bit more than you. I could see how that would be a problem. But we're going to get on to this next one, guys. So guess what? The 8 teams that are not invited to the bubble, all they can do is watch like the rest of us. They can't do OTAs. They can't get together. They can't do any of all that. Now, look, this next quote that I'm going to read, I'm going to read it the way that I read it just so I can, do a little jab at Chris here. But Mark Berman of the New York Post said, some teams, not the Knicks, lobby to have an on-site summer league tournament with the 8 teams, but the massive COVID-19 protocols in Orlando are too complex to implement for random teams. So they are not allowed, not the Knicks though. But they can't play because they just don't have the same things in place that they would have in the bubble. Obviously, they could come and go as they please, so they don't want that. There's no hotline for people to call and like snitch on each other, and then no homeland security. So they just don't have the things in place where they can kind of make sure that everyone's staying safe. So then the question becomes, so like I said, the Knicks in particular, though, even though I threw that shade, it did make sense for them to not be on that list because they were looking at having a week-long mini camp with the hopes of allowing their new coach to work with some of these people before the November camp starts. So not only for the Knicks, though, but for everyone, is my question for you specifically, Chris, is number one, is this fair? Is it fair for these 8 teams to have 9 months with basically nothing before they can start practicing again? And number two, for you guys have had a lot of names floating around as far as the head coach position. I know you've had some preferences, but is it? Yeah, it's a lot. Who would you want to be the head coach? I guess it's a three-parter. Who do you want to be the head coach?
Boy.
Is it because I told you who I wanted to be, and you didn't even respond back to me. But whatever.
I have a response.
Is it vital for whoever the new coach is to have this time before November?
Oh, okay. Question one. Yeah, it is completely unfair because, and I know the jokes and the memes. Oh, well, they shouldn't have sucked, and then they would have been. I get that, ha ha, he he. But at the same time, like for these guys, regardless, because some of these guys are going to be getting contracts and stuff like that. And none of them have played any basketball going into the next season. It's going to be starting in December. So yeah, I feel like Knicks be damned. All the teams, those 8 teams that were not included. Yeah, it sucks that they're not going to have any way except for at all to like play any sort of like real basketball. Question number 2 was the coach. What was was that question number 2? Number 3?
Yeah. Who do you?
Yeah, coach.
Number 2. Who do you want to be?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And why didn't you respond to me?
Okay. So here's my thing. I love Becky Hammond. I would love for her to be the Knicks coach, but I don't want her first job being the Knicks. We just talked about David Fizdale. Now imagine that for the first female coach. I don't want that with the Knicks. Exactly. I love Becky Hammond. She's one of my favorites. I have videos talking about it, but in that same breath, I don't want it to be with us. I'm hoping that she gets that Spurs job or gets another job where she can be successful because she's actually a good coach, and I feel like she would do well in the league. That's the only reason why I don't want her. My favorite coach, though, I know everybody's all excited about Tom Thibodeau that are outside of the Knicks. I hate Tom Thibodeau. I don't want him to be there because he's going to turn RJ Barrett into a Derrick Rose where he's going to have knee problems. I want old boy that just got booted from the Brooklyn Nets. Crazy enough, I want their sloppy seconds, even though they took our sloppy seconds because he was our coach first. I want Kenny Atkinson to come be the coach of the New York Knicks. Here's why. He is probably one of the better developmental coaches. We saw that with D'Angelo Russell. We saw that with Spencer Dinwiddie, who was a player that nobody knew about before he came to the Brooklyn Nets. We've seen that with Jeremy Lin. He is responsible for Jeremy Lin. I think he would be a good coach for the development if we're actually committing to developing a team. So if you want this little 2K moment right now, yes, I would love Kenny Atkinson. He's my favorite choice of the bunch. I think Tom Thibodeau is a better option if we were actually a team that was actually looking like we're going to win right now. We are not that, and we're not even close to that. So, no, I do not want Tom Thibodeau. I want Kenny Atkinson. That's my short answer.
Okay. And is it vital for Kenny to, if that's the case, is it absolutely vital for him to
Anybody.
have that time before November?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
I think it's very, very important. I feel like that's the case with any team, even if it wasn't just us. I think any, because there's the Bulls are probably they're going to fire their coach too. I'm sure there's going to be other teams that are going to be in the coach too. I think it's vital for any of these teams to have their coach with their players, because that is very important, because you don't want them to just jump in November not knowing what's going on and knowing their players. Right. So yeah, I think it's very important.
Right. All right. So now, you guys, let's get into something else that's really important, and I'm so excited that we can do this on our platform, because by now you know that the Fumble Squad is raising money for the Equal Justice Initiative. Now, the EJI is an incredible nonprofit organization that provides legal representation to prisoners who may have been wrongly convicted of crimes, poor prisoners without effective representation, and others who may have been denied a fair trial. Now, take a moment to find a link here, wherever, or I know you can do a super chat as well, because I personally can't imagine what it would be like to be in prison for something that I did not do. So please make sure you take time to donate. And today I'm going to tell you about another story that just shows why the Equal Justice Initiative is so vital. I'm going to tell you about Richard Phillips, because he spent 46 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. The 46 years is the longest wrongful prison sentence in American history, and he survived by writing poetry and painting watercolors. And it started all in September of 1971. Two men walked into a convenience store outside of Detroit. A black man stood to kind of watch, and then a white guy pulled a gun and demanded money. They only got away with $10 in stolen cash. But a witness did identify the car. The registration came back to Richard Palumbo, who was definitely there on the scene, but he refused to name his accomplice, who was standing watch at the door. So two men were taken into custody, Fred Mitchell and Richard Phillips. The eyewitness statements were shaky. They couldn't get a clear answer out of anyone, but nevertheless, they sentenced Phillips to 7 years for that crime. And then while he was getting ready to serve that sentence, in 1971, a 21-year-old man by the name of Gregory Harris disappeared when he went to buy cigarettes. And later, the victim's mother reported to Detroit police that she received a random phone call from a woman who said, quote, "I can't hold it in any longer. Fred Mitchell and a guy named Django," which is what Palumbo went by, "took your son out of the car at LaSalle Street. They shot him in the head and killed him. They took him out near a 10-mile road and tossed him from the car." So she reported this to police. Nothing happened with it, with that call. Police didn't investigate that call. And then on March 3rd, 1972, the victim's body was found. And then on March 15th, Fred Mitchell was arrested on an unrelated charge. And the next day, he told police he had information on the death of Gregory Harris. He said the killers were Richard Palumbo and Richard Phillips. So that's how they got the conviction on him. The authorities had no physical evidence connecting the suspects. They had no circumstantial evidence either. They just had the testimony from, someone else who had committed a crime. So he went to jail for that murder. And after several failed appeals, he took a job in the prison to earn extra money to hire a better lawyer. On August 24th, 2010, Richard Palumbo had a parole hearing. He was hoping to commute his life sentence and go free, but instead he was riddled with some kind of disease and he kind of felt guilty. So he came clean and detailed the circumstances around the murder of Gregory Harris and confirmed to the parole board that Richard Phillips didn't have anything to do with it. In fact, he didn't even meet Richard Phillips until 8 days after the murder. But then it wasn't until December 12th of 2017, after that he was actually exonerated for this. And he wasn't even completely exonerated. The judge granted him a $5,000 personal bond, said he didn't have to pay anything now or ever as long as he wore an ankle monitor and showed up for a new trial. So he ended up going free 46 years later, just because some guy randomly said, hey, this is the guy who did it. So this is just a quick rundown of this story. Like I said, he did poetry and painting. One of them was like in a song that was really dope. So I really recommend you guys Google this and do some research on it, because it truly makes you understand why the work of the Equal Justice Initiative is so important. So please take time, donate, do a super chat. We have a link here, or you can, there's a link in the video. And like I said, you can do a super chat, or you can go to eji.org. But every little bit helps. You guys make sure we are helping these people, because it is a beautiful thing. And I'm very thankful we can do that on this platform. So Chris, if I can get you back up here really quick. This is a terrible way to go into Brit's takes, but it's so important, you guys, because it happens far too often, especially in this country. So I'm really thankful that we get to raise awareness about this. But now it is time for Brit's takes.
Brit's takes.
That was deeper.
Thank you, guys. So speaking of bringing awareness to a situation, this has kind of been on my mind to talk about all month, but obviously we've had other things going on. But today is the last day in June, which means it's the last day for Pride Month. And I know NFL players have been speaking out on racial injustices in the NFL world the last month. And I mean, even before that, but it's kind of come to the forefront because of all the things that are going on right now. It's all horrible. We all know it exists. It's terrible. But today I did want to take a moment to focus on a different part of the NFL culture, and that is with gay players. So I know yesterday we were talking about Kansas State, and their players were demanding whatever because of somebody who had an issue and with racial whatever stuff and was saying all this stuff. And I said Kansas State has been on the right side of things, so I believed they were going to do right in that situation as well. And one of those things that I was talking about that they have been on the right side is one of their players, Scott France, who was a offensive tackle for the team the last 5 years, I believe, because I think he redshirted his freshman year, but he started all 4 years when he was actually playing. He told his teammates in 2016 that he was gay, and it wasn't until a year and a half later, late 2017, that he actually openly came out. So the players, coaches, everybody, the school knew that he was gay, but they wanted to make sure they kept it under wraps until he felt comfortable coming out, because he was going to have to go against other teams and other players, and they wanted him to be in a safe environment. So this is actually what he had said when he finally did come out and spoke with ESPN. He said, "I came out to my teammates, I've never felt so loved and so accepted ever in my life than I did that then. And ever since then, it's been great. I've grown so much closer to my teammates since. It's been an amazing experience." Now, this was in 2017, so we all know since then, everybody's known that he's been openly gay in the league. This season actually would have been a chance where he could have gotten drafted. However, due to the pandemic, they kind of closed a lot of pro days. The team tried to have one on early March, right before everything shut down. And at that time, he had pulled his hamstring, so he wasn't able to participate. And so he was waiting for a later pro date. But all of those ended up getting canceled because of COVID-19. So his agent kind of came out and said he doesn't think that it's because he's gay that is the reason why he's not in the league or didn't get drafted. When the draft happened on April 25th, they believed it was more because he missed the pro day, and then the second pro day that he was scheduled for, he wasn't able to attend because they shut it down because of COVID. So, but he would have actually been the first player that was openly gay since Michael Sam came out in 2014 saying that he was gay and being in the NFL. So we all know Michael Sam didn't work out. He never actually played in a regular season game. He was on he did training camp, and then he did the practice squad for the Dallas Cowboys, but he never played in the regular season game. So still to this day in 2020, we have 0 openly gay NFL players ever to play in the league in a regular season game. The NFL, it's interesting because we're in a moment right now where the NFL wants to be inclusive, and they want to say, oh, our coaches need to reflect the faces of the players in the league, and the players need to have these rights in this case. But then when it comes to the gay culture, I just don't feel like the NFL feels the same way. And it's kind of like sad. There's been, since early 2000, I believe, it's been roughly 13 players that have, after their NFL career, decided to come out. Pretty much all of them said they didn't feel comfortable in that situation to come out, that they were gay at the time. We all remember even just the bullying that went on with Richie Incognito when he was in Miami and stuff like that. And then obviously we saw him last year with the Raiders. But there's such a different I don't know. It's like a different kind of culture in football that makes it so these players don't feel comfortable. I don't know what Kansas State did to make their team and their players feel comfortable enough to say something, because Scott is the first even openly gay college player to come out openly at the time. When Michael Sam came out, he came out after he already finished college, and it was right before the NFL draft. So he didn't even play any downs in college football as an openly gay player. So I think it's very interesting to be in this moment where we're trying to be more inclusive and understanding of other people and their lifestyles. But still in 2020, we have no we have no NFL players that have come out gay. They all wait. The biggest one that came out after the fact, I know most of us remember, Kwame Harris, who he was a first-round pick. He played most of his career for the 49ers and then played a little bit for the Raiders before he retired. But he recently came out like a couple years ago with ESPN and told a whole story about, like, you know, when he first got into a college football room and he was like, started feeling different and kind of like uncomfortable, and he would kind of make jokes about gay people, but deep down he knew he was gay. So my question is actually going to be to you, Chris, because I just think this is a very interesting topic that we don't ever discuss in football, and it's it being Pride Month and everything that's happening right now with like us trying to make positive change for Black Lives Matter and stuff, but yet the NFL isn't taking steps to do that for gay people that are probably in the league. I know Kwame came out and he said he believes that there's at least 20 to 30 guys currently in the NFL that are gay that don't feel comfortable coming out. So what do you think needs to happen here? Is it the responsibility of the league, as in Roger Goodell and the owners and whatever, to come in and try to change the culture? Or is it up to the players in the league? Like with Kansas State, I think it was more his teammates that accepted him, and then everything kind of followed after. Like, whose responsibility is this to make the culture in the NFL change to where these players feel comfortable to come out while they're playing and not have to wait till they're over 30 or once they're retired to come out that they're openly gay?
Feel comfortable. Yeah, I've said this since Michael Sam, and we've talked about it. Like, unfortunately, he also wasn't that great of a football player. But to answer that question, I think it's the players. I think it really is the players. I mean, the front office and everybody else can do what they have to do, but they still have to, be accepted, and I think that's right. And I think that's the problem, that all of these players that have come out after the fact was they were afraid that they won't be accepted. Like you just said, like Harris had to make jokes so he could stay cool with his teammates and stuff like that. So I really feel like this is one that you got to put on the players, that they they're the starting force to that, but also at the same time you can't. God, it's just such a tight web, because some of these guys might genuinely just not want to play with someone gay, unfortunately. So it's such a crazy tightrope that you're gonna, or what's it called, rope that you're gonna, tug of war that you're gonna have, because I feel like it definitely starts with the players. Because I'm sure if guys come out openly gay and they're a good player, the GMs in the front office won't have a problem bringing them in, if they know that the players are going to be respectful and they're going to take care of their guy, and they don't want to put that person in that situation. So, short answer, I think it's got to be the players. I just don't know how they go about doing that, because I know a lot of football players could be douches and they won't be okay with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know I had a really good friend of mine, Brendan Ayambadejo, 3-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champ with the Ravens. He's part of or led the league at one point. He was one of the first players to come out as an ally. So he was like, I'm not personally gay, but I'm here for, the gay guys in the league. He actually was one of the big people that came out, or that was standing by Michael Sam when he came out and stuff like that. So I think obviously even if players or teams kind of have maybe a person on the an ally on each team. I don't know, because even in the same token, we can say and look back at, there were players that didn't want to play with Black players, and that's not acceptable. Yeah. So in this moment, you can say maybe players don't feel comfortable. Well, that's not acceptable. We're at a time where that is not acceptable. Feel that type of way. Sorry, you're not even cute anyway. The person probably don't like you. They're not looking to talk to you. I don't know why certain guys think that like, oh, it's a gay guy. Like, he don't like you. He don't want to talk to you anyway.
Yeah.
You're not even his
Yeah,
type.
yeah, yeah.
So I don't know why they just automatically assume because the person's gay that they like them or something. But I really feel like something has to happen. And obviously, like Scott's agent had said, he didn't feel like it wasn't the reason why he didn't get drafted was because he was gay. He just felt like, oh, well, he missed Pro Bowl or Pro Day and all of that kind of stuff, and he had injuries. So obviously, it's there. I mean, there's still a chance he gets picked up to a training camp or whatever the case is come season time. But and again, with Michael Sam, he wasn't a very good player, you know. So that's that's
good, right?
I put the blame on the league or the owners or the GMs, because I think really they care about money and they care about winning. They're going to pick whoever the best guy is. And obviously, I mean, Kwame Harris, if he would have came out at that time, he was still a first-round pick. I think he still would have been a first-round pick. He was a really good offensive tackle, like, you know, like he would have still been that guy or whatever, I think. But I don't know. I have no idea what the players need to do, but that energy needs to change because this is very unfortunate. But that's it for Brit's Takes. Thank you guys for listening. I just wanted to make sure before we ended the month that I kind of brought light to that. Because even, I mean, in the NBA, we haven't had any openly gay NBA players either. It's kind of across the board in sports, unfortunately. So, yeah.
Thank you, Britt. I'm glad that you all right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you leave a comment below. Tap the bell for notifications so you know when we're going live. Wash your hands, subscribe, do all the different things. And we're going to be back again at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow. So we'll see you then. Bye, everyone.
Love each other. Be good to each other.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
There it is.
When you gotta sing.